The night was silent, except for the whisper of wind over the dry Texas plains. A single lantern glowed outside a lonely ranch house, where old rancher Tom Braddock sat with his coffee, watching the horizon like he always did before bed. Then came a sound that didn't belong. Knock, knock, knock. It wasn't the wind this time. It was soft, hesitant, like someone was scared to even be heard. Tom opened the door, expecting maybe a neighbor's stray dog or a ranch hand late from town. But what stood there changed his life forever. A little girl, no older than 7, barefoot, trembling. Her face streaked with tears and dust. She looked up at him, voice shaking but clear enough to cut through the night. "Mister, they beat my mama. She's dying." The Tom froze. The kind of stillness that only comes when your heart forgets how to beat. He had seen storms, fires, and death in his years, but never this. A child with fear so deep in her eyes it could drown the world. And in that instant, the grizzled rancher, who thought his days of saving anyone were long gone, knew he was about to make a choice that would change everything. Tom Braddock had lived alone for almost 10 years. His wife, Mary, had died of cancer, and his son had left for the city, never to return. The old man had learned to live with silence. His horses were his only companions, his land his only conversation. But that knock, that small, shaking hand on his door, tore a hole right through that silence. He knelt to the girl's height, trying to keep his voice calm. "Easy now, sweetheart. Who's hurtin', your mama?" The girl's lips quivered. "The men, from the old Miller farm. They said she owed them money." "Please, mister, she can't breathe." Tom grabbed his coat and lantern, heart pounding like it hadn't in years. He lifted the girl gently onto his horse, whisper, and rode fast into the night. The moon guided them down the dirt road, past fences and whispering trees, until they reached an old shack half collapsed by time. When Tom pushed open the door, his stomach turned. Inside, a woman lay on the floor, bruised, bloodied, barely conscious. Her hair was tangled, her breathing ragged. The walls bore the signs of violence: broken glass, overturned furniture, and muddy boot prints. The little girl dropped beside her. "Mama, I brought help." The woman tried to smile, but tears spilled instead. Tom knelt beside her, tearing his shirt to stop the bleeding. "Mom, stay with me. We're getting you to town." She grabbed his wrist weakly. "Don't let them find her. Please. My little Emma, they'll come back." And before Tom could answer, her hand went limp. The little girl screamed, clinging to her mother's body. Tom pulled her close, his old heart breaking wide open. For a moment, he thought of his wife, her last breaths in his arms, and he felt that same helpless pain again. But this time, he swore he wouldn't just stand by. He whispered, "I ain't letting them get away with this, Emma. Not this time." By morning, the sheriff had come and gone. They took the woman's body, but there were no promises, just talk of investigations and waiting on evidence. Tom knew what that meant. The Millers had money, influence, and a history of getting away with things. But Emma had no one left, except him. She sat on his porch, wearing one of his late wife's old sweaters, her small hands wrapped around a mug of cocoa. She stared out at the horizon, silent. Tom watched her and knew that silence too well. It was the sound of a broken world trying to make sense again. He said softly, "You're safe here, kiddo. Nobody's gonna hurt you now." She looked up, eyes red. "They said they'd come for me. That I belong to them now." Tom's jaw tightened. "Over my dead body." That night, the wind carried more than dust. It carried the sound of approaching engines. Tom doused the lights and looked out the window. Headlights. 3 trucks. They were coming. He moved fast, grabbed his rifle, ushered Emma into the root cellar beneath the floor. "Stay quiet, no matter what happens," he said. She nodded, trembling. Then he waited by the door, every muscle tense, as footsteps approached. "Braddock, we know you got the girl," the men shouted, laughing like devils who thought they owned the world. But Tom Braddock had faced worse than them. And tonight, he wasn't just an old man. He was a protector. The door burst open. The first man barely saw the butt of Tom's rifle before it slammed into his jaw. The second swung a chain, Tom ducked and tackled him to the floor. The third ran, only to meet the sheriff's truck pulling up behind him, sirens screaming. Tom had called the sheriff earlier that evening, knowing this might happen. When the chaos settled, the men were cuffed and cursing, and the sheriff, who'd once doubted the old rancher, tipped his hat. "Guess you still got some fight left in you, Tom." Tom just nodded, eyes wet. "Wasn't for me. Was for her." Days later, the town gathered for the woman's funeral. Emma stood beside Tom, holding his hand. She didn't cry this time. She just looked up at him and whispered, "Thank you, Mr. Braddock." He knelt, smiling through the ache. "You can call me Grandpa if you'd like." Her lips curved into the first smile he'd seen on her face. From that day on, the quiet ranch wasn't quiet anymore. There was laughter again. Small, fragile, but real. And though Tom Braddock's hair turned whiter and his steps slower, the fire in his heart burned brighter than ever. He had lost much in life. But in helping that little girl, he'd found something greater than revenge or justice. He'd found purpose again. And sometimes, that's all a broken heart needs to start healing. Sometimes heroes aren't found in uniforms or city lights. Sometimes, they live on quiet ranches, waiting for one knock that changes everything. When life gives you a chance to protect someone, even once, take it. Because in saving them, you might just save yourself.